Okay, let's unpack this. We're doing a deep dive today into, well, a real heavyweight of philosophy, Baruch Spinoza's Ethics.
Yeah, the Ethica. And
Yeah,
if you ever tried to read it, you know it's different.
definitely different. It's not your usual philosophical argument, is it? He lays it all out. Ethica ordine geometrico demonstrata.
Ethics demonstrated in geometric order. Exactly.
Mhm.
Definitions, axioms, propositions, the whole mathematical shebang.
Like Euclid's geometry, but for reality and morality. It's intense.
It really is. And our sources today, they kind of give us a path through that structure. We're looking at excerpts covering God, the mind, emotions, or effects, as he calls them.
Right, effects.
Then human bondage, and finally, how we might achieve freedom.
So our mission here, for you listening, is to check and grasp Spinoza's, frankly, radical view of reality.
Understand why we often feel trapped by our emotions, that state he calls bondage.
And see how genuine freedom for Spinoza isn't about willpower, but about understanding how it becomes a meditation on life.
So where do we start with this geometric fortress? We have to accept the core premise first,
Which is,
that human actions, our passions, our desires,
yeah.
they aren't special moral cases. Spinoza says we should look at them exactly as the rest of nature.
Like lines, planes, and bodies.
Precisely. They follow universal laws, just like physics or geometry. No judgment, just analysis.
That feels incredibly stark. Takes away the drama of human struggle, almost.
It does feel that way initially, but for Spinoza, it's the path to clarity, and the absolute starting point has to be the foundation of everything. Substance or God.
Okay, part one, de Deo, on God. How does he define this?
The crucial definition is causa sui.
Cause of itself.
Right. Substance is that which needs nothing else to exist or be conceived. Its very essence involves existence.
So existence isn't something given to it, it just is. That's a major departure right there.
Huge. And then comes the next bombshell. Proposition 14 in part 1. There can only be one such substance.
Only one.
Only one absolutely infinite substance. Which means God is substance. God is nature. There's nothing outside of it.
Wow. Okay, so that dissolves the whole creator-creation divide. But then how do we account for all the variety we see? Mind, matter, all that.
Through infinite attributes. Substance expresses itself in infinite ways. We humans can only perceive two of these attributes.
Thought and extension, right? Mind and body.
Exactly. Thought, lack, and extension. Exam. And here's the key thing you need to grasp. These aren't two separate things interacting.
Okay, so the thinking substance and the extended substance.
Are one and the same substance, just viewed at different attributes. They run in parallel.
Like two sides of the same coin, or two perfectly synchronized clocks.
Like a good analogy. They express the same underlying reality, the same necessity. Mind doesn't push the body around, the body doesn't determine thought.
They just unfold together because they're part of the same single necessary system.
Precisely. And necessary is the word. Everything follows from the nature of God nature with absolute logical necessity.
No room for divine intervention or miracles or changing one's mind?
None. Spinoza is clear. God's intellect, will, and power are all the same thing. The system is immutable, governed by its own inherent laws.
Okay, if everything is absolutely necessary, then why do we humans constantly look for purpose in things? Why do we think things happen for a reason?
Ah, yes. That brings us to his critique of final causes.
The idea that things in nature have a goal or an end they're working towards.
Exactly. He calls this belief a primary source of prejudice. We tend to think nature exists for us, the sun to warm us, rain to water crops.
And when it doesn't work out for us, like a natural disaster.
We're skunked. We can't explain why it happened then, why to us. And when pushed for a cause, what do people do?
They say it's God's will.
Bingo. They take refuge in the will of God, which Spinoza famously calls the asylum of ignorance.
Ouch, that's harsh. It's basically saying I give up thinking.
Pretty much. And this same ignorance, this lack of understanding the real causes, applies directly to our feeling of free will. We feel free because we're conscious of our desires, our appetites, our volitions.
We know what we want.
Right. But we are totally ignorant of the determining causes that make us want that specific thing in the first place. We see the wanting, but not the why.
We're aware of the effect, blind to the cause.
Exactly. And he goes further. He even dismantles the idea of will as some separate faculty of the mind.
What does he say it is that?
Will and intellect, he argues, are one and the same. Will is just the affirmation that's inherent in having an idea.
Wait, so when I have an idea, I'm already affirming it. Unless
you immediately possess another, stronger, contradictory idea that cancels it out. You don't, Here, the moon is cheese, and then have a separate will step in to say false.
My existing knowledge, my adequate idea of the moon, automatically refutes it.
Precisely. Belief isn't a choice. It's the result of the ideas currently active and powerful in your mind. Clarity dictates affirmation.
So controlling our beliefs isn't about willpower, it's about getting clearer, more adequate ideas.
You've got it. And that's why he had to tackle Descartes head-on.
Descartes and his pineal gland, the supposed meeting point of mind and body.
Right, where the non-physical soul could supposedly pull the levers of the physical body.
Giving the mind total control in theory.
But Spinoza points out the flaw. If the mind really had such absolute control over the body's passions and movements, why does Descartes himself admit it takes tons of practice and study to manage emotions?
Good point. If I'm the boss, why do I need to practice telling my anger to calm down? It should just obey.
Exactly. The fact that it's hard proves the mind isn't an absolute monarch. Mind can't fully determine body, body can't fully determine mind.
Because they're just parallel tracks of the same determined system.
Which leads us right into part 3, human bondage, servitudum.
Bondage sounds grim. What is it, according to Spinoza?
It's basically our powerlessness, our inability to control and restrain our effects, our emotions. It's why we often follow the worse even when we see the better.
I know cake is bad, but I eat it anyway, that feeling.
That's the essence of bondage. Knowing better, but being driven by the affect anyway.
Okay, but human emotion is so complex. Love, hate, fear, hope. How does his geometric system handle all that?
He boils it all down. Amazingly, he derives all emotions from just 3 primary effects.
Only 3. What are they?
1. Joy, Letitia. That's any transition to a state of greater perfection or power.
Okay, feeling better, stronger.
2. Sadness, Justitia. The opposite, the transition to lesser perfection or power.
Feeling weaker, diminished.
And 3. Desire, cupiditas. This is our fundamental essence, the striving, kinatas, to persevere in our own being.
So desire is the engine, and joy and sadness are the readouts, showing if the engine is running better or worse.
That's a great way to put it. Every other emotion, love, hate, envy, pity, is just a combination or modification of these 3, usually linked to the idea of an external cause.
Like love is joy plus the idea of the person you love.
Exactly. And hate is sadness plus the idea of the person you hate. And the reason these feelings can overwhelm us, overwhelm our reason,
is because their strength comes from outside causes.
Right, the power of the external cause compared to our own internal power. That's Proposition 5, Part 4. We're often just reacting.
Which explains things like envy, too, I suppose.
Perfectly. Why do we sometimes rejoice over the weakness of our equals and are saddened by their virtue?
Because if my equal gets stronger, more virtue, more power, it feels like I'm becoming relatively weaker. A kind of zero-sum game.
It's a calculation based on comparison, driven by sadness. He even notes how education can encourage this through appeals to honor and rivalry.
Okay, so if we're in bondage to these externally driven effects, how do we get out? You can't just decide not to be sad or envious.
You absolutely can't. That's Proposition 7, Part 4. An affect can only be controlled or removed by another affect that is stronger and contrary.
Affect fights affect, like fire fighting fire.
Or maybe emotional judo, like you said. You can't meet fear with pure logic head-on. You need to cultivate a stronger, contrary effect, maybe the joy that comes from a better understanding of the situation, which we might call courage.
You need a more powerful, positive emotion generated by a better idea.
Precisely. Which brings us, finally, to the path to freedom in Part 4.
Okay, if bondage is being driven by external causes and fuzzy ideas, what's freedom?
Freedom is acting from the dictates of reason. It's when your actions flow from adequate ideas, from a clear understanding of causes.
When you're driven by your own internal understanding, not external triggers.
Yes. And acting rationally based on this understanding is always good because it aligns with our core essence, our power, our potential to persist and understand.
So the best thing we can possibly do, the highest virtue,
is to understand, to gain knowledge of God or nature. That's the highest good.
And this isn't a solitary pursuit, is it?
Not at all. Reason leads us to seek what's genuinely good, and that good is necessarily common to all people. A rational person sees that helping others become rational is in their own best interest.
Because rational people are more useful to each other.
Exactly. Spinoza insists man is most useful to man. Rational self-interest leads directly to mutual benefit.
And the person who achieves this state is the free man, the homo liber.
Yes. And what defines him, his entire focus shifts. He thinks of nothing less than death.
Why not?
because his wisdom is a meditation on life, not death. He's focused on understanding and enhancing his existence now through reason, not worrying about future unknowns or divine judgment.
And you mentioned earlier he'd operate beyond good and evil in a sense.
If humans were born free, with only adequate ideas, they wouldn't even form concepts of good and evil, because those arise from comparing our state to something better or worse, usually triggered by external things.
So how does this free man deal with negativity from others, like hatred or contempt?
Rationally, he strives to respond with love or generosity, not out of meekness, but because reason shows that's the most powerful and constructive response, the one that increases everyone's power, including his own.
And the ultimate state, the peak of this freedom,
Is the amor intellectualis Dei, the intellectual love of God.
which isn't emotional in the passionate sense.
No, it's not a feeling caused by an external thing. It arises from the highest form of knowledge intuition, seeing things under the aspect of eternity. It's the deep understanding and acceptance of the necessary order of everything and your place within it.
And that understanding itself is the freedom, the blessedness.
That's it. It is the reward. So we followed the thread from the necessity of one substance, God nature,
Through the way our minds perceive this via attributes, leading to the illusion of free will and the trap of emotions driven by external causes, our bondage.
to the path out, strengthening our understanding, replacing passive effects with active ones driven by reason, leading to freedom.
And freedom isn't some mystical gift, it's the result of hard intellectual work, replacing confused ideas with clear ones.
Moving from being pushed around by the outside world to acting from your own understood nature.
It definitely sounds difficult.
Spinoza acknowledges that right at the end. He says the path must indeed be difficult, but it can be found. Why? Because all excellent things are as difficult as they are rare.
So what does this all mean for you listening? We've seen Spinoza's geometric path to a freedom based entirely on understanding.
It leaves us with a challenging thought, doesn't it? If true freedom is about seeing the world more clearly, about this intellectual meditation on life,
Then maybe ask yourself, what excellent thing in your own life, what potential for rational action and joy is currently being blocked?
blocked by fuzzy thinking, by inadequate ideas that leave you reacting passively, stuck in that state of bondage, finding that clarity. Well, that's the difficult, rare, and excellent task Spinoza sets for us.